before Thanksgiving, right? Okay, so turn the page, or turn to section 4.6, and we were doing notes on completing the square. Right. Yes, Mr. D, that's what we were doing. Let's go over some practice problems and review work. Okay, 4.6. Are you ready? Are you ready, kids? All right, here we go. Number 5. I'm sorry, number 7. This is 4.6. Notes before Thanksgiving that we did. I got to do some review problems. If I do, it'd be in there, but I doubt it. All right. Here, I got a box of pencils here. How many do you want? There's a couple. Okay, you ready? Number 7. All right, we're gonna complete the square because we can't factor this. All right, so I need my x terms on one side and my numbers on the other. But to number 7, I already have, so I don't have to do it. Then I need to make a perfect square trinomial out of this, so I can factor it form in. So I can put it in factor form, which is a perfect square binomial. Are you ready, kids? Okay, so I got to take my x squared plus 14x, and I'm going to figure out what the perfect square is to add to it. Equals, I'm going to have my 57, and then I'm going to have to add that perfect square to the other side of the equation. Now, how do I figure out the perfect square? 4.6, what we did, completing the square notes, what we did before Thanksgiving. So you ask me, hey, Mr. D, how do I figure out what the perfect square is to add to each side of the equation? Well, I'm going to tell you. I take my b, which is 14. I'm going to divide it by 2. Then I'm going to square it. Okay, what's 14 divided by 2? That's right, kids, it's 7. 7 squared, which is 49. So that's what I'm going to add to each side of my equation, 49. Okay, now this will give me in factored form a perfect squared binomial, which is, well, I have my x. Let's see, this is a plus sign, so plus here. In fact, the base is a plus 7, so it's 7 squared equals 59 plus 49 is the 16, carry the 1, 9, 10, 106. Then I have to solve for x. You say, well, how do I do that, Mr. D? Well, I say, let's get rid of the power 2 by square rooting it. That square root gets rid of the power 2. And I get x plus 7 equals plus or minus the square root of 106. And then you say, well, I'm done, Mr. D. And I say, well, maybe not. It's not by itself yet, right? So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Subtract 7, subtract 7. So what does x equal? Negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 106. And that, kids, is my final answer for $1 million. Shall we do another one? Huh, kids? All right, number 8. I'm going to get my x's by itself on one side of the equation, so I'm going to actually add 1 to both sides. So I get x squared plus 5x. I'm going to add to it some perfect square I'm going to figure out. Equals 0 plus 1 is 1, but don't forget I have to add that perfect square to this side. Okay. B, oh my gosh, it's a fraction. Holy crap. Let's skip it. Who was that? Was it? Okay, so half of B, there's my B, I'm going to take half and square it. 5 halves squared is 25/4. So I'm going to add 25/4 to both sides. Oh my gosh, look at these fractions. This is just horrible. Okay, so my perfect squared binomial is x, and I have a plus 5 halves squared. And what's 1 plus 25/4? That's right, kids, 29/4. Okay, because 1 is just 4 over 4. 4 plus 25 is 29. Okay, so now we have to figure out what x is. I'm going to square root both sides. Boy, this does not seem right. No, I guess. All right, so we have x plus 5 halves equals, split the square root up. I have plus or minus square root of 29 over the square root of 4 is 2. And then I'm going to subtract 5 halves to both sides. So what's x? Negative 5 over 2, plus or minus. Wonderful. From the man who is doing wonderful. My questions, comments, concerns? Are we good? Should we do a couple more example problems? All right. As Bob Seeger would say, turn the page. Let's do number 10. Now, my leading coefficient, which is the coefficient of my highest exponent. So I'm going to divide everything by 5. So I have x squared minus 2x. 40 divided by 5 is 8 equals 0. Now, what happens when I divide both sides by 5? The 5 kind of goes away, doesn't it? And I'm just left with x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0. Then I do complete the square. I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Bless you, my son. X squared minus 2x. I'm going to figure out what my perfect square is and add it to it. And I get 8, and I have to add that same perfect square to that side. Okay. Let's see, my b is negative 2 divided by 2 and square it. Negative 1 squared, which is 1. Add 1 to both sides. So I get x minus 1 squared equals 8 plus 1 is 9. square root both sides. I get x minus 1 equals plus or minus 3. Then add 1 to both sides. So what does x equal? No. We have positive 1 plus 3 is 4. What's positive 1 minus 3? Negative 2. And that, my friend, is how you do dividing, completing the square with a leading coefficient other than 1. I'm going to sneeze. Go away. Okay, and then the last thing we did was putting it from standard form to vertex form, right? Well, here's my vertex form. So I need to put this in some kind of perfect squared binomial factor, right? Okay, so I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. So I get y minus 9 equals, oh, I'm going to have to add to it a perfect square, right? Equals x squared plus 6x, and I have to figure out a perfect square. Take my b, divide it by 2, and square it. I get 3 squared, which is 9. So I add it to both sides of the equation. See, I get my x, I'm sorry, y. Negative 9 plus 9 is just 0, right? So y by itself. And then I get my x plus 3 squared, and I'm done. My k is 0, right? And that, my friends, is what we did before Thanksgiving. Are we good? Are we good? Can you guys do these in your head? Think about this. Let's try and do some of this in our head. I'm going to subtract 8. So I'm going to have y minus 8, and then I'm going to add to it some perfect square, right? Okay, I've got x squared minus 4x plus some perfect squared. Let's see if we can do this in our head. You know I'm going to end up with a binomial squared, right, with an x, and that's a minus, so that's minus. Okay, half of 4 is what? 2. 2 squared is? 4. Okay. So the left side is y minus 4 equals x minus 2 squared. So what does y equal? X minus 2 squared plus 4. Using your head a little bit, you can cut out an awful lot of steps. That's what we did before Thanksgiving. Now, this is what we're doing today. Stoicals. Okay, turn the pages, Figure would say. Anybody remember the equation of a circle? That's right. That's right. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where my center is h comma k, and my radius, r is radius. Are you ready, kids? This is actually pretty easy for number 1. What's my h? It's my k. And the radius is 5. Just plug it in. So I have x minus 4 squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And just clean it up. Simplify it up. X minus 4 squared plus y squared equals 25. Can't get too much easier than that, right? It's not the first time you've seen this. You did this in part 1. Okay, a little bit of a review from part 1. Part 2 starts with number 3. It says, identify the center and the radius of each. So if you look at this, can we identify it? No way. Way too much stuff going on. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to complete the square, not once, but twice, kids, twice. Okay, let's deal with our x's first. I have x squared plus 4x. I have x squared plus 4x. And I'm going to add to it a perfect square, which I have to figure out, right? Now I'm going to put my equal sign over here. And whatever perfect square I add here, I'm going to have to add over here, right? Okay, now let's look at the y's. I have a plus y squared. What's my other y term? Yep, plus 6y. And we're going to have to add to it a perfect square. So I'm going to add to it a perfect square, which I have to figure out. But I'm going to have to add it to this side too. Isn't this funner? All right, now don't forget we have to get the original constant over on the other side, right? So I'm just going to add 3 to both sides right off the bat. So here's my add 3. What? Yes, it is. Look it up. Yes, it is. Look it up. Okay, let's figure out our perfect squares. Let's figure out the x perfect square. Are you ready, kids? Okay, so here's my b, 4. Going to divide it by 2. Then I'm going to square it. So 4 divided by 2 squared, which is 4. Add 4 here, and I'm going to add 4 here. So what's my perfect factored form squared binomial? X plus 2 squared. Are you with me? Okay, what about the y's? Yes, it is 9. I'm going to take my b, divide it by 2, and I'm going to square it. Gives me 3 squared, which is 9. I'm going to add 9 here, add 9 there. And what's my factored form for the y's? Y plus 3 squared. And then on the right-hand side, I have 3 plus 4 is 7 plus 9, 16. And there is my conic equation of a circle. Here we go again. What's my center? Yeah, but be careful. It has to be opposite the signs, right? -2, -3. And what's my radius? 4, the square root of 16. There's my answer. Didn't I tell you like a month ago that we were really going to get into some funner stuff? Should we do another one? Huh? Should we do another one? Let's do number 7. Not only do we have to find the center and radius, but we also get the sketches. Wow. I don't know how much more of this added work or fun stuff I can take anymore. All right, so let's do the x's. X squared minus 4x, and we're going to add to it a perfect square. Okay, let's look at our y's. I have a positive y squared and a positive 4y. I'm going to figure out a perfect square and add it. And I'm going to get that 4 on the other side, so I have what? -4 on the right-hand side. Okay, you ready to do some figuring? Yeah, I mean, like, you should be able to do some of this in your head, right? Okay, you know you're going to have two perfect squared binomials, right? All right, so you know this one's a minus sign, and this one is going to be a plus sign because that's what's before the b. Half of 4 is what? 2 squared is what? Same thing for the other side, right? Half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is. And we're adding 4s to this. -4 plus 4 is 0, plus 4 is 4. What's my center? What's my radius? Okay, so center's at 2, -2. Radius is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And you can watch Mr. D make his wonderful circles. Actually, it's not that bad. Questions, comments, concerns?